Helmand Province, Afghanistan. 21-year-old Marine Lance Corporal Kent Farrell and his military working dog Zora are on patrol outside their base camp when a grenade lands between them.
Back up, back up.
When she came running, she was coming towards me. When she got closer to me, the grenade went off, and she caught the brunt of it right on her left side. She kind of collapsed. She really didn't move after that. We took a pulse, and there was no pulse. There's nothing we could have done. Shrapnel into areas that there really couldn't have been anything done to her, even if she was thrown on the vet table immediately after it happened. So she went quickly. As we were taking off, they draped an American flag over her. That's when really hit home, she was gone. That's when I lost it on the bird over here, is when I saw her in that American flag. It really touched me that the crew did that for her, treated her like a fallen Marine. My partner, my sister in arms.
Miles west in the Kandahar region of Afghanistan. Soldiers Command Outpost Spurwin Gar are mounting a counterinsurgency operation. The objective is to destroy hiding spots the enemy has been using to launch their attacks and conceal their escapes.
The Taliban's coming up and they're firing on the checkpoint. So what they're doing right now is they're clearing out this tree line and this wall, so they'll be out in the open. The Taliban's gonna be pretty angry about this, and anytime we can disrupt the enemy, it's a good day for us.
Military working dog teams search for any weapon stashes or IEDs that insurgents may have hidden in the area. It is Air Force Staff Sergeant Len Anderson and his military working dog Oz's first mission outside of camp.
I'm very excited about going on the mission. This is what I joined K9 to do. Yeah, I'm nervous about going, but I joined the military, I signed my name, and this is what I'm here to do.
There is little doubt that the operation will incite insurgent reprisals. And within just minutes, enemy combatants are spotted taking up positions in the distance. The operation's security detail sets up a defensive perimeter.
There's a lot of yelling on the other side of that tree line. But they're right there in that bush right to my 12. See them moving? To the right! Right there, right there.
insurgents give up the fight and run off.
Hold what you got! Hold what you got! Cease fire! Cease fire!
With Taliban hiding spots in the area destroyed, the unit heads back to base, confident that they have diminished the enemy's ability to stage attacks.
We want to just let the Taliban know that we know where they're shooting from and we're going to come get them. Overall success, no one got hurt, took some contact, everyone got the blood flowing. We'll go in here and then regroup for tomorrow's mission.
It's 4 a.m. and Staff Sergeant Len Anderson is getting ready to head back out on patrol. This time, Anderson and his dog Azza will be going deeper into enemy territory. But first, a few precious minutes to call home to Alaska.
Hey, Kelly.
Huh?
Carly.
Carol? What's wrong?
Where's Aiden?
Come here, little boy.
What's up, buddy?
Look at Daddy. You see Daddy? Huh?
My two kids are a little too young to realize what's going on. They're only 1 and 2. All they do is they know I'm gone. My wife, she's military as well. She understands what is asked upon me, so she doesn't ask too many questions, which I'm happy about. Where is Taser?
Come here. Oh, nice. Up here, come on. Come.
Well, I roll out here in a little over an hour.
Okay.
All right, I'll let you guys take them to bed.
Say bye.
Bye, buddy.
All right, love you.
Love you too.
Mwah.
Bye.
Hang out.
All right. Time to go to work. All right, brother.
Be safe, bro.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right,
I'll see you later. You're not working yet, big girl.
Good morning, guys. In the last 90 days, there's been 11 direct fire engagements in that area. And the IED threat is heavy. Just so you're aware.
The mission objective is to track down a group of insurgents operating in the village of Pae Maluk, a Taliban stronghold located a mile from the base. For nearly 2 weeks, the enemy has been staging almost daily attacks against coalition forces, their tactics growing bolder with each assault. Anderson and Azza are one of 3 dog teams that will be searching for IEDs en route to the village.
They're shooting our now, so them. They're shooting from us, we're blowing up. Any questions? All right, get out.
Azza, come here. Azza. Anybody sitting here would be lying if they said they weren't a little nervous or a little scared. There's no way around it. You don't know what to expect. It may cost you your life. It's a price we pay for our country. The #1 thing is try to come home and bring everybody home with you. I have a history of not being a magnet for craziness, but at the same time, that could mean that I'm due for a lot of craziness.
There you go.
We started off on the patrol, and we always take the dog because the dogs are usually pretty good at sniffing out the HME, the homemade explosives, the fertilizer that the Taliban use.
Come up with the front yard.
We try to stay off paths and roads because that's the main place where the enemy places IEDs. So we cut through the grape fields.
What's going on?
An hour into the mission, the unit translator and one of the Afghan army soldiers get into a disagreement about what route to use to get to Paye Maluk.
What's he saying? What? X-ray 36, southwest, contact. Just a couple of rafting fire shots, can't see anything.
Stay.
Yeah, let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing, Heaton.
I don't want to get to the path.
If that's Paye Maluk, we have to get on the path.
Yeah, but it's a really sketchy ass path, so we just want to push further south or further north.
Can we push past the path?
The small arms fire forces the patrol to change their route.
Are we going on a path? Sure are.
We're continuing to push.
The soldiers maneuver along a narrow path bordered by mud walls and a small creek.
Ozza, come here. Checks. Good girl.
Hey, Heaton. Let's not stay stationary.
All right. Let's go, Ozza.
I'm walking up to your right. On the southern side of the tree right there. To your right now. Is there a guy standing right? Hey, Glenn, is there a guy sitting right there? Squatting?
The suspected insurgent disappears into the trees. A moment later, the patrol encounters another local.
Sergeant Heaton stopped the guy and told him, I'm trying to go to Paye Maluk. So the guy said, okay. And then started walking on the path.
Staff Sergeant Anderson and Ozza push forward. Lieutenant McGrath contacts the patrol leader.
Hey, Heaton. When you're gonna get us up this path, that would be very grateful. Going to the city, gonna eat a lot of IEDs. Heard that motorcycle? Definitely a scout.
Think so?
No, I know so.
Air Force Staff Sergeant Len Anderson and his military working dog Ozza are on patrol near the Taliban stronghold of Paye Maluk.
Heard that motorcycle? Definitely a scout.
Think so?
No, I know so.
The two-man camera crew following Staff Sergeant Anderson is also caught in the blast.
It stopped me dead in my tracks and blew right through me, the wave or whatever. The sound is intense. There was a ringing in your ear, like a pitch. And then you smell the chemical. You smell whatever they have in the bomb.
Get the medic up here!
The job of a cameraman is to tell the story, and not to become part of the story. You know, unfortunately, that morning, I was blown into the story.
I looked over, looking in that direction, I see Craig pop up.
I was in the Marine Corps for 8 years. I was in combat in the first Gulf War. I think that helped me be able to focus and get up and go. I grabbed my camera and saw Staff Sergeant Anderson laid out on his back. There was a second I almost was overcome and I wanted to freeze. But then I just looked at him.
Easy.
I saw blood coming out of his left leg, and I knew I gotta help him. You're embedded with these guys, and you live with them and film them when they get in firefights. and then they protect you. And so it was my turn to protect him. So I just clicked tourniquet. I put the camera down, put a tourniquet on him. That time a medic came up, and I started putting a tourniquet on his other leg. Len was kind of going out, and we'd keep talking to him, shake him, say, hey, you okay? Easy, buddy. Easy, okay?
We got you, buddy. We got you.
I remember seeing Craig, and he was comforting Sergeant Anderson the whole time, because Sergeant Anderson was not wanting to give up at all. And Craig had a soothing way about his voice. I'm really proud of him. He really helped a brother out in a time of need.
Ozza was also in the blast, but the blast literally separated the leash. And so Ozza was running around. Sergeant Hojo picked her up and held her while we did first aid.
Dude, I don't feel good, man.
I remember seeing Sergeant Anderson's dog. He was right next to me. So I grabbed a hold of the dog. And I looked back and I saw quite a few people, including the medics back there, working on Sergeant Anderson.
I was taken aback by the expression on Alice's face, and it was absolutely amazing to witness. She completely was ears towards him and focused on him and concerned for him. Probably the most amazing thing I've ever seen between an animal and a man.
You breathing okay, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just get me out of here.
Okay.
After the doc and myself, we finished bandaging. It was time to put him on a stretcher, so they threw down just a black sheet, basically, and you put underneath.
Okay, I'm gonna roll him my way. 75. We're gonna put him on him, okay?
And at that point, I went back into, okay, I've done my part, but now I'm gonna let these guys do their part.
Hey, I need at least 2 more guys to help carry.
All right, hey, 1-6. It might be hard to spot up.
All right, so make sure that this bag is picked up.
So I actually picked Lynn up. There was a mud road that went across into the field they had secured for an LZ, landing zone.
All right, you're gonna take down me first, guys.
I went down through the creek. And it took 8 guys to get him through there and get him up this hill. And got him up into the field.
Here it comes.
They popped purple smoke, and medevac came in. It was almost surreal when the dust came towards Lynn. All the soldiers leaned over him to protect him. That was, it was just what brothers do. They picked him up, took him across this plowed field to the chopper and loaded him up. Ozza was also brought up. They loaded him up, and he flew to Kandahar. When the chopper was taken off, I ran back to get a better shot. But at the same time, I was thinking, will I see him again? I don't know.
"25 minutes after an IED blast tore through his patrol, Air Force Staff Sergeant Len Anderson is medevaced to a military field hospital and rushed into surgery. Anderson has severe injuries to his hands and legs. Surgeons fear he will lose at least one leg. If his bleeding can't be stopped, he could lose his life. The news reaches Anderson's home base commander in Alaska.
I got a call from one of my master sergeants, He asked me if I was somewhere good, and you never want to hear that asked of you when someone calls. And he basically read the report that the command post received that Leonard was very severely wounded, which by definition is not expected to survive 72 hours. I've done some difficult things in my career, but taking that phone call was probably the hardest thing I've had to deal with.
An operational review of footage taken just before and during the IED blast reveals a high level of planning and coordination on the part of the Taliban.
I spent a couple of hours watching the video, several segments of it, frame by frame. Historically, we've seen dog handlers being a target of interest by the insurgents because they're a very effective tool against the improvised explosive devices. And from the video, it's pretty clear that Staff Sergeant Anderson and Ozza did nothing wrong.
Hey, Heaton, let's not stay stationary.
To us. A command-initiated device is where an insurgent actually has control over the device, and you have to be able to see the target.
Hey, Blaine, is there a guy sitting right there, squatting?
There's no doubt in my mind that someone was watching and someone detonated that device. But the shining moment of that weekend was when I was finally able to talk to a nurse about Staff Sergeant Anderson and a strong pulse in his feet, getting fevers down, and looking okay. I gotta tell you, when we finally heard that Ozzy was alive and coming back to the States, probably the second best bit of news that I got that weekend.
Anderson lost 6 fingers as a result of the blast. And although his ability to walk may be in doubt, his ability to fight is not.
It's quite remarkable that he survived it all. But Len's just a determined young man, and I don't think he's ever let anything stop him in his life, and he's not going to let this stop him.
Coming.
After 8 months of deployment, Sergeant Ben Stapira has just received clearance to fly back home to the States for a very special 2-week visit, the birth of his first child.
Oh, you're being such a good boy.
Yes, you are. I want him to smell good while I'm gone. And I've been with him 8 months every day, 24 hours a day. So, I mean, I'm gonna miss him, but I know I'm coming back, so it's a good break for him. He's an old man. He needs 2 weeks off. I need my 2 weeks off. Maybe come back and he'll like me a lot more because I'm gone. You don't know what you got until it's gone. I hope he realizes that.
Good boys.
8.5 months I've been gone. I left my wife at El Paso International Airport, and then 2 days later, I was at Fort Dix in New Jersey, and she called me up. She says, hey, can we Skype? I said, what do you mean Skype? I just left. She's like, yeah, I just need to tell you something important. She started crying, so I got on Skype, and she told me, hey, we're having a kid. And I was like, oh, geez, I'm gonna be deployed for the next year. That was the first part of my mind is, how are we gonna do this? Well, she did it all right. She's a strong woman. Did it without me. Now I'm coming home to see the baby born, so I'm excited. Last couple days, actually, I haven't been sleeping too well. The only time I get to talk to my wife about the babies on the phone once in a while. Sends me emails of the sonograms and stuff, but I don't know what to expect. I read a book on what to expect as a new dad, but I mean, a book's a lot different than being at the classes or whatever. I'm gonna be a dad, and I'm excited to go home and start that chapter of my life.
Back in Helmand Province, the Marines at Camp Leatherneck take time to honor one of their own. Marine working dog Zora, killed by an enemy grenade while on patrol with her handler, Lance Corporal Kent Farrell.
You replay it 1,000 times in your head how it could have gone differently, and the fact is that I was doing my job and she was doing hers, and she was killed in line of duty for me and for the guys on the patrol. Not for any type of payment other than a good girl and a pet and some water and some food when we got back. Some people say it was just a dog. Well, it wasn't just a dog to me. One of my best friends I've ever had died that day. We talk about heroes all the time, but Zorro was and is my hero. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change a thing. Because she brought everybody home. And that's what's the most important part about the game that we play. It's the part about the job that sucks. I love that dog.
20 miles north of Camp Leatherneck, Lance Corporal Durwood Shaw and his dog Falco are on patrol. It's the same area where Zorro was killed just one day earlier.
Come on. Hey, come.
The Taliban presence here is extremely high. Shaw and his unit are under constant threat. But despite the dangers, the unit is determined to see that Zora's death was not in vain.
Come on. Go. Came from that direction.
Go to the area.
Yeah. Move. Just watch where y'all step.
Helmand Province, Afghanistan. Marine Lance Corporal Durwood Shaw and his military working dog Falco are on patrol in enemy territory. Just one day earlier, this same Marine unit was ambushed here. A Taliban grenade killed one of the squad's military working dogs. Their mission is to push out the insurgents by any means necessary. But the enemy hiding here won't go easy.
Came from that direction. Came from that direction. Yeah. Move. Just watch where y'all step.
Shaw's unit storms a suspected Taliban compound. But securing the compound has its surprises.
Hey, you guys may have to put some rounds in that if he comes close to me. Hey, we need to overwatch, man.
Firefight intensifies. Falco remains calm amid the chaos and confusion of combat.
Falco, down, down. Good boy.
Faced with overwhelming firepower, the enemy fighters scatter into the distance and retreat.
I knew it was gonna happen. Coming out to this sector, welcome to Afghanistan.
Two hours later, Shaw and Falco are relieved to return to base Barioli safely.
He's ready for a nap.
But Shaw is about to discover he has lost something very important in the heat of battle.
You guys won't believe what I freaking lost, dude.
You're ready?
You guys help me look for it real quick in this mess. Falco, everybody.
You better hope you find this thing, man.
I know, man. Hey, I don't think my wife's gonna be happy, so.
he unfortunately lost his wedding ring. It happens, it's Afghanistan. I'm sure his wife is gonna be a little upset.
Did your dog eat it?
Did you eat it, buddy? Did you eat it?
Which one are you more scared of? The Taliban or your wife finding out that you lost your ring?
Tell you the truth, I'd have to say my wife.
Army Sergeant Ben Stapira is headed back to Kandahar province after a 2-week trip home for the birth of his first child.
Being home for my birth of my son Bradley was a life-altering experience. The first reaction was I counted all his fingers and all his toes. And the first time I changed his diaper, I actually put the diaper on backwards. So I was just laughing hysterically. Bye, Bradley. Bradley. And it's not easy to say goodbye. Usually it's just me and my wife, but you know, my son is at the airport. And I was like, oh man, like, it's really time to say goodbye. Like, I barely know you.
Yeah, how's the baby?
He's good, man. He's 8 pounds, 1 ounce right now. He was born at 7 pounds, 1 ounce, but he gained a whole pound since I've been gone already.
Really?
First, what, 2 weeks he's gained a pound?
Your boy's gonna be really happy to see you. Like,
Yeah, I need to talk to him.
No, I'm talking about Giro.
Oh, yeah, I talked to him too.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy? Huh? What's up, buddy? Get that collar off. Let's go outside.
For Gear to go out there and search, and then me to walk behind him, that's my life, that's my legs. That's why I'm the first person to walk behind him, because I absolutely have faith in my dog, I have to. Does it feel good to be back in Afghanistan? Yes, because Giro's here. I haven't seen him act this young in a long time. He's pretty excited. Come on. Come on. Heel.
Good boys.
I'm just not out here for me. There's been times where there's been 100 soldiers behind me. And I'm pretty sure somewhere in that 100 soldier file, somebody had a kid. My job is to help those guys go home.
It's been 2 weeks since Marine Corporal Drew Nyman and his dog Emily had a close encounter with an IED blast. In that time, Emily has exhibited classic symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. She now appears hypersensitive to loud noises, a liability on the battlefield. Today, the veterinarian at Camp Leatherneck will evaluate Emily's condition and fitness for further duty.
Morning, ma'am.
Hi. So how's she been doing the past 2 weeks?
First couple of days, she was kind of out of it. Wasn't acting really herself. Lately, she's been a lot more playful, so.
Any noise anxiety or anything?
Loud noises, yes.
I mean, she might look fine on the outside, but on the inside, you know, the vet was like, wow, yeah, she suffered dog PTSD. The vet recommended, or mandated, I guess, 3 weeks of no duty where she just sits in her kennel. The fact that my peers are out still in the fight, I'm sitting here waiting on my dog to see when she's gonna recover, if she recovers. It sucks not being able to go out, but if she's not ready, if she's not gonna be at her full potential, it's lives at stake. It's my life, it's the Marines around me's life, it's her life. And if she's not at 100%, it's not worth the risk, putting lives in danger. So that's what we kind of have to see.
Just days later, Corporal Nyman learns that Emily will in fact be taken off the battlefield, but not in the way he expected. Nyman and the other Marines in Helmand province are having their deployments cut short as part of the drawdown of U.S. troops in Afghanistan. It's the best news these brave men and dogs could have received.
First thing I'm gonna do when I get home is give my wife a big kiss and kiss my son, my new son. It's kind of hard to fathom that I'm gonna come home to a child.
If Falco wouldn't have done his job out here, finding IEDs, I probably wouldn't be coming home right now. My wife would have grown up a widow. Daughter would have grown up without a father. Yes, they are a piece of equipment to the Marine Corps, but we bond so much with our dogs. I mean, you're not supposed to fall in love with your dog, but you're going to.
The fact that we're going home in good health and injury-free, it's definitely a blessing, but it's bittersweet because others weren't as lucky.
You feel empty in a sense of it's never going to be the same. You're never going to have a Zora. But I'm going home in one piece, and I can still go home to my family. I can still tell them what happened.
First thing I'm gonna do when I see my family is, one, I'll probably shed a tear to tell you the truth. You know, it's the first time I get to meet my daughter. And two, give my wife some love.
For military families, a homecoming is the joyous end to months of waiting and worry. Today, Corporal Drew Nyman, Lance Corporal Durwood Shaw, and Lance Corporal Kent Farrell are finally coming home.
Hurry up, bus. My name is Krista Nyman, and I brought Bentley here to meet his daddy, Drew, and he is 4 days old.
My husband is on his way right now to come meet our daughter for the first time. Her name is Cameron. My husband probably doesn't know what to think. I don't think he's ever even held a baby before, so I'm sure he's a little nervous.
Almost home.
My son is Lance Corporal Farrell. The last 4 months has been grueling, terrifying. I said to him, please have Zora take care of you, and he promised me she would. She sacrificed her life for him.
Military working dogs Emily and Falco have been safely returned to their kennels at Camp Lejeune. Zora's ashes have also come home.
A lot more people than I thought.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. Here come the waterworks, fellas. You ready?
Eielson Air Force Base, Alaska, half a world away from the battlefields of Afghanistan. A combat veteran is preparing for a special kind of homecoming. Military working dog Aza hasn't seen her combat handler Len Anderson since they were both nearly killed in a Taliban IED blast.
That's good. After a period of evaluation there in Afghanistan, Aza was returned back to the States.
Kennel trainer Staff Sergeant Nicholas Drake has been working with Aza since her return.
Good, Oscar. Good, yeah.
Tonight, Sergeant Anderson is going to be returning home for the first time. Everybody is extremely excited, especially his dog. Anderson and Oz are a team, and that team's not going to be broken. No matter what you do from here on out, they need to be together.
Len's friends, fellow dog handlers, and their canine partners have turned out in force to greet him. No one here has seen Len since the incident that nearly took his life, including the cameraman who helped save it.
I wanted to see him, but I was scared to see him because I felt guilty that I was fine and he wasn't. I knew that he was hurt very, very badly, and then he wasn't even going to be able to walk.
Even though he's physically beat up, I think what we're going to see is a handler who is an extremely resilient individual, and I think we're going to see a dog very excited to see Dad.
Osborne. There she is. Come here. Up, up. Ah, yeah,
Leonard coming off the elevator knew he was going to be in a wheelchair, but just to see how Ozzy recognized him immediately and was like, hey, it's Dad.
It was awesome to see them together. And then he jumps out of the wheelchair.
Doors open and all I could think was Ozzy. I don't think I've ever gotten no faster.
Yeah, I mean, you're with a guy on a battlefield and you put him on a chopper and you think, I'll never see this guy again. And then 2 months later, he comes flying into Alaska.
Y'all didn't get her collar?
And is talking because he's mad that Ozzy doesn't have her collar on that he wanted her to have.
You messed my collar up?
His collar. He's already asking about it. I told you he would ask about it.
You messed my collar up. I can't believe you.
You're just like, wow. You're just blown away that he's come so far, and that's not what I expected.
What up, bro? How you doing, man? Yeah, thanks, man, for everything you did. You're welcome. Appreciate you. Yeah, you too, man.
When I hugged him and he told me that he only remembered my voice that whole morning, it washed away all my fears, my anxieties, and my guilt, and it inspired me. I didn't know what happened either.
I didn't either. They told me what you did. So. Thanks, man.
Well, his strength made me forgive myself and what had happened and the way I felt.
Len's return inspires all his friends in attendance, even the youngest ones.
What up, kiddos? How y'all doing? Y'all good? Yeah?
Missed you.
I missed y'all too.
It was good to have you home, man.
How we doing, Major?
She's happy to see you.
I know.
Just to see how easily he got up out of the chair and left it behind. Thrilled that he didn't go back in that chair.
Come here. Show it to me. Show it to me. That's my girl. You miss me? Yeah.
And of course, Ozzy going to Leonard, you could tell that definitely energized Len. I think it's going to be a great aid to Len's recovery.
Man's best friend. Seeing them together is the way it should be. They keep an eye on each other.
I know, I want to get on the ground. I want to get on the ground, huh?
I, as the commander, decided that it's probably best for Leonard and probably best for Ozzy that they get to spend a little extra time together and start that healing process together.
Being with him in the hospital every day, I know how much he talks about Ozzy, so he's really excited to get her home with us.
Ozzy, let's go, Ma. Hey, the intentions are to adopt her. I still have to go through the process with the military. This is probably going to help the healing process. It's going to keep me active at home. For one thing, it'll teach me to start being able to throw a ball again or play with her so that you can press on and kind of forget about what has happened.
He's going to have this dog that was with him in his worst time in his life probably help him get back to the best times of his life.
"4,000 miles away at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Marine Corps families prepare for a reunion of their own. After months spent in combat, Corporal Drew Nyman, Lance Corporal Durwood Shaw, and Lance Corporal Kent Farrell are just minutes from home.
Here come the waterworks, fellas. You ready?
Oh, I just know it's going to be an emotional moment.
My husband lost his ring while he was in Afghanistan, and a wedding ring can be replaced, my husband can't. So I told him that I would just buy him a new one and just ask him to marry me all over again. Hopefully he says yes.
I can't wait to see my son. Unfortunately, Zora's not going to be with him. But just a couple more minutes, we hope and pray.
Where's your daddy, baby? Where's daddy? Babe.
Mommy and baby.
I have a poster for you. Will you marry me again?
Oh, of course I will.
Really?
Yeah. Missing a ring. Look at this. Yeah, it looks brand new again. Looks like I never lost it. When I first showed up to check in to my unit, I said, why do you want to be a dog handler? I mean, what better feeling could you have than to help save people's lives and everybody gets to go back home to their family?
I love you. I miss you so much. Look, baby, Daddy.
It's an incredible feeling. He was born on Monday. He got off the bus, and it's the first thing I saw was my wife and newborn son.
Emily went through everything we've gone through in Afghanistan, and through that we've made a bond that's more than just handler, dog. It's, best friends.
She was killed. Her dog.
That means that you're gonna be up
My grandmother said thank you for bringing my grandson home. It was nice to hear that someone else respected my dog just as much as I did, because she did bring me home. With the death of Zora, it really opened my eyes on how precious life is in general and how precious these dogs are. And I'm very grateful for what she did. The best thing I can do is make her proud.
All right, let's go home.